What's up, everybody? My name is Ryan Thomas. You're tuning in to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast live on Grandstand Sports Network, coming to you from One Buffalo, New York. Yesterday, it was in the 50s, 40s-ish. I was wearing just a light jacket, jeans, sneakers, and today I am stuck in the house. So I'm not going anywhere today, apparently, due to the weather. Had a snowstorm last night, and I'm snowed in. So snowed in my driveway, a few houses down from the street that I live on. The guy's going to come and plow my driveway for me. So waiting on that so I can go about my day and run my errands. But it's actually a good thing because I can come to you live on Spreaker.com, live on GrandstandSportsNetwork.com. And also Facebook, YouTube, Twitter at Thomas Takeover. Follow me if you have yet to do so. Posting a lot of fantasy baseball stuff. And obviously talking about the newest subject, the newest information that we have on the Jon Jones saga, on the career that is Jon Bones Jones. Obviously, one of the best fighters in UFC history, arguably could be considered the greatest of all time. But Jon Jones has found a way to continue to put himself in harm's way, to continue to take time away from his career, to continue to really essentially waste his talent, waste his potential. And I wanted to watch this California State Athletic Commission hearing with an open mind and to kind of backtrack a little bit. For those of you that don't know, Jon Jones fought in July 29th, UFC 214, I believe. It was a rematch with Daniel Cormier, who was the then UFC light heavyweight champion. And one of the biggest rematches in UFC history. Arguably, at the time, I thought it was the biggest rematch in UFC history. I still think it is today, but it's argued whether it is or it isn't. I think it is. Cormier looking to defend his title that he essentially didn't win off of Jones. Jones looking to reclaim it. Jones reclaims the title. Jones emphatically knocks out Daniel Cormier, wins that fight. And we all think Jon Jones is back. The UFC's got their biggest star back. The UFC, outside of Conor McGregor, the UFC's got the guy that they've desperately needed for the better part of the last few years. Lo and behold, about a month and a half later, the test that is taken before the fight, Jon Jones tests positive for a substance called turinabol, which was commonly used by Germans in the Olympics that were caught doping. So, banned substance completely, it's a completely illegal substance, not just according to the United States Athletic Doping Agency, but in the United States, period. This is a banned substance. So, bad news for Jon Jones. The Jones-Cormier fight is ruled a no contest. So Jon Jones no longer the champion. Daniel Cormier reinstated as the champion, being that it was a no contest fight, almost as if the fight never even happened. And Daniel Cormier moves on to take on Volkan Ozdemir, dispatches him in relatively short order, and now has himself set on a super fight with Stipe Miocic, the UFC heavyweight champion. So that's a fight that's coming, obviously, this July. So what a total arc of a year that was, from July 29th to 2017 to July of 2018. We have Daniel Cormier fighting for defending his title, losing his title to Jones, getting his title back, and fighting a heavyweight title fight. Meanwhile, we have Jon Jones, who is stripped once again of the title, his fight ruled a no contest, and the true subject matter of the hearing is that the California State Athletic Commission came to a decision to revoke the license of John Jones, take away his fighting license, fining him $205,000, which is 40% of his purse, from UFC 214. And we now wait for the punishment from USADA, because the California State Athletic Commission is one governing body. USADA is another agency. 2 punishments will be handed down on John Jones. And according to the punishment of the California State Athletic Commission, they said that John Jones could reapply for a license as early as this August of 2018, but he probably will not be eligible to fight or granted that permission to come back that soon, which would delay him until March of 2019, which, to me, it could have been a lot worse. This is his 3rd offense, his 2nd in which a banned substance was found in his system. Regardless of how he doesn't know how it got there or not, it was found in his system. And there were a lot of things in the matter of the hearing that I was so perplexed by that I felt the need to talk about it on this show. I have to say, just all the way around. In terms of the defense of John Jones, in terms of John Jones speaking himself, I thought this guy, John Jones, did himself a complete and total disservice to his career in this instance of the hearing. He did himself a complete and total disservice in the way he handled himself in the court hearing. It could have been a lot worse, but going into this hearing, had he done things the right way, had he not admitted the things that he admitted, which I'll get to a little bit later, had he not said the things that he said, I think the California State Athletic Commission would have handed down a lighter sentence than what they did. Maybe not so much as taking his license away, but maybe a 4 or 5 month suspension due to the positive drug test results. But the defense attorney of John Jones did him no favors. John Jones did himself no favors. The crowning moment of what an epic collapse of a career that this has been for John Jones was when he admitted that each and every UFC athlete is granted a quote unquote, is presented with a contract in which they have to sign a waiver for a tutorial. The tutorial is presented by the United States Athletic Doping Agency, where they are taught the procedures that they need to take if they are taking certain substances, to write them down when they are tested by random by the United States Athletic Doping Agency. John Jones admitted that he never signed one of these sheets, that he specifically asked his management to forge his signature. When that became apparent, when that became known inside the courtroom, my initial thought, this guy does not belong in the UFC. This guy does not belong in the world of mixed martial arts. How many times is this guy going to screw up? And how many times are the governing bodies in which he, due to the fact that the fight took place in California were the ones that had to, give him the punishment. If it was in Vegas, it would have been in Nevada. If it was in Texas, Texas, so on. It was the State Athletic Commission that was giving this ruling due to the fact that he fought in California against Daniel Cormier. So I just cannot believe that John Jones was sitting in that courtroom and it brought something up. This wasn't even asked of him. This was just kind of poked, the carrot was held out for him to nibble on, and he swallowed the carrot whole. He gave the California State Athletic Commission free rein to just go after him by admitting the fact that he has his management forge his signatures on paperwork that he needed to file, that he needed to fill out, that he needed to attend to these tutorials that he never attended. And yet he was quoted as saying that science is the reason, the science is kicking him in the ass. The reason why science, in his own words, science is kicking him in the ass is due to the fact that Jon Jones doesn't know what he is supposed to take or what he isn't supposed to take. What substances are on the banned substance list, what substances are not banned. And USADA is very strict. I understand that. They are the top governing body, in the United States. The United States Anti-Doping Agency. I get it. But for a professional, a true professional, we look at mixed martial artists as true athletes, true professionals. He handled that situation for years as unprofessional as you could get. As unprofessional as you could be, I should say. And it was truly perplexing to me that this man admitted that he did not sign the waivers ever, that he did not go to any tutorials in which USADA themselves teach the fighters what substances they can take, what substances they can't, and not only that, how to file that you are taking these substances. When they random drug test a fighter, they have a sheet and it says, well, you need to write this down if these are the substances that you're taking, even if it's vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, whatever it may be. You have to write it down. Jon Jones would leave that part of the sheet blank, hand it to his manager and say, hey, sign this with my signature. Or you just sign it with my signature. Forge my signature. That should have got him into a lot more trouble than what it did, but it left him with a negative $205,000, in the red. Them taking $205,000 out of his account, and no fighter's license. So as of now, one of the greatest talents that the sport of mixed martial arts has ever seen, a guy that I thought would be back this year in 2018, fighting the winner of Stipe versus DC, had he done things right, had he handled himself the right way. Jon Jones, the greatest talent, is no longer in the UFC, is no longer an active mixed martial artist. So that hurts. As a UFC fan, as a mixed martial arts fan, it really hurts knowing that you have this gentleman so young still. He's only 30 years old, so much potential, talent the likes of which we have never seen, not even licensed as a mixed martial artist. And obviously, as I stated, he could reapply for his license in a few months, which would allow him to come back in August. But obviously, in between now and then, USADA will be seeing Jon Jones in court. And anytime USADA has to brief anybody, anytime USADA has to do anything where they are throwing that judge's gavel down, it's never good. So, to be continued. Very disappointing, though. The way he handled himself, he talked about, they asked him about his sexual enhancement pill that he tested positive for in his last USADA drug test, and he made jokes about it. I just thought he was so unprofessional throughout the entire hearing that it's really no shock as to why this guy has not changed. It's no shock to me. It's such a shame. The greatest talent that the sport has ever seen cannot stay out of his own way. In some aspects, I did think that throughout his journey in the UFC, there were moments where they didn't stand by him. There were moments where he was kind of sought after by Albuquerque after the hit and run, where he wasn't drag racing, he was just accelerating, and the cop pulled him over for it. I thought that was a little bit, something to look at. But the attitude that this man carries is unlike anything I have ever seen, and it's not for the better. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take. John Jones. Take care.